Alrighty, so we're back, and we are just rolling in for a one-night stay at Stringybark Creek campground. It's deep in Victoria's high country. It's probably about 30 minutes out of Benalla. Now, what makes this campground so cool isn't just the bush vibes or the free camping, it's the wild piece of Australian history that happened right here. Back in 1878, this spot was ground zero for the Stringybark Creek ambush, the moment that lit the fuse on the entire Ned Kelly legend. 3 police officers were killed by the Kelly gang in a surprise ambush, and it sparked the biggest manhunt in colonial history. So it's not just a campground, it's where folklore, bushrangers, and real tragedy all collide in one eerie, beautiful forest. And now, 145 years later, we're here with snacks, kids, and a camera. So let's check it out. This weekend it's just Ben, me, and our 2 kids, and we're meeting up with a group of our friends who've already set up camp. So this place is super peaceful, and pretty much as soon as we pulled up, the kids were off exploring like they own the joint. And now that we've arrived at camp, there's our welcome committee. 2 of our friends waving like we've just arrived at base camp for the Ned Kelly hunt. So before we dive into why this little patch of forest is one of the most famous and tragic sites in Australia's bushranger history, here's a little look at how we're going to be camping this weekend. So this is Ben's GU patrol, and the rooftop fits both Ben, myself, and the kids. So before we actually start on the trail, can we please just have a bit of appreciation for how cool the little cartoon of my shorty looks. I've got it printed on so much merch. It is available on the Adventure Girls website. Thank you so much, Tia from Kumo Customs, for coming up with the design. Everybody who sees it absolutely loves it. Now, before we hit the main trail, we did veer left towards the old diggings, and if you look closely, you'll spot huge pits left behind by 1800s gold seekers. This was once part of the Stringybark goldfields, where people like Stringybark George dug for treasure, right alongside the ghosts of bushrangers and police. Isn't Sully just the cutest? So this here is the Stringybark goldfield. However, you're probably wondering, what is the real story here? It actually happened on Saturday the 26th of October in 1878. 4 police officers, Sergeant Michael Kennedy, Constable Thomas Lonergan, Michael Scanlon, and Thomas McIntyre, set up a camp here in the Wombat Ranges, hunting the Kelly gang who were wanted for earlier crimes. What they didn't know was that Ned, Dan, Joe, Byrne, and Steve Hart were watching them from the bush. The Kellys knew the cops were after them and decided to act first. That afternoon, with 2 officers away scouting, McIntyre and Lonergan were back at the camp preparing for the night. Suddenly voices shouted, "Bail up! Put up your hands!" McIntyre put his hands up. Lonergan reached for his revolver and was shot dead on the spot, hit in the head by Ned Kelly. The gang waited for Kennedy and Scanlon to return. When they did, Scanlon was shot while still dismounting his horse, and Kennedy was chased through the bush. He returned fire trying to hold his ground, but eventually Ned Kelly caught up and shot him at close range, reportedly after Kennedy had already been wounded. Only McIntyre escaped, bolting through the scrub and eventually reaching Mansfield, where he raised the alarm and kicked off the biggest manhunt in colonial Victoria. The aftermath was the government passed a law to declare the Kellys outlaws, meaning police could shoot them on sight. This was the event that turned Ned Kelly from just another bushranger into a living myth. We're about to walk the trail where it all went down, from the police camp to the Kellys' hideout and the places where the officers fell. So once you reach the main info circle, where the memorials for Kennedy, Scanlon and Lonergan stand, you can take the 40-minute Stringybark Creek heritage walk. It didn't take us this long, but we did stop and read the signs. In my honest opinion, when we did the trail, this is where the site really comes alive. Along the trail, you'll pass the Kelly camp, believed to be where the gang slept, cooked, and watch the police from behind thick bush cover. But first, we've got a very important message. Yeah, no motorbikes.
Why? Because they're fun, please.
And there's Kirsten just spitting absolute straight facts. So further on down the trail, you'll find the police campsite, the spot where McIntyre and Lonigan were ambushed, and the place where Kennedy's body was discovered under his cloak, not far from here. The plaques and info boards along the walk do a solid job laying it all out for you. They even share quotes from McIntyre's official account, and yep, he really did say he heard "bail up" before Lonigan was shot. You'll also learn how Parliament reacted by rushing through the Felons Apprehension Act, and just days later, the Kelly gang officially became the first declared outlaws in Victoria. There was no trial, no mercy. Straight up, just shoot on sight. So eventually the track opens up and leads you to one of the most talked about trees in Australian history, the Kelly tree, or depending on who you ask, the police tree. And that right there, that's what makes it so compelling. This one tree stands at the centre of a national identity crisis, bushranger legend or brutal killer, rebellion or tragedy. The original tree, believed to be near this very spot, was where police officers were either killed or found after the ambush. Over the years, the site became a memorial, but not without controversy. Some people, especially the descendants of the fallen officers, see this tree as a sacred ground, a solemn place of remembrance. You'll notice there's a plaque here, the names Sergeant Michael Kennedy, Constables Thomas Lonigan, and Michael Scanlon, and honours the sacrifice they made while serving their duty. But others see it differently. For supporters of Ned Kelly, and they are still plenty, the tree is almost a symbol of rebellion, a middle finger to the colonial injustice, a place where a poor Irish farm boy made a stand, whether you agree with him or not. In the past, some visitors even carved "Kelly was here" or placed tokens around the tree, though that's no longer encouraged for obvious reasons. Just nearby, there's a memorial information panel with photos, historical snippets, and a striking replica of the 2,500-pound bounty poster that was issued after the ambush. It's a powerful thing to stand in the place where those events unfolded and look at that reward notice, knowing what came next. The outlaws, the manhunt, the armour, and the final siege at Glenrowan, all of it started here. And no matter where you stand on this debate, it's impossible to walk this part of the trail and not feel something. Grief for the men killed on duty, fascination with the mythology that followed, sadness for the violence, and maybe a little bit of awe at how much meaning a single tree can hold. This place isn't just a footnote in the Kelly saga, it's the spark. It's the moment everything changed. So now that we're back at camp, it's time to decompress with the real stars of any bush trip: dip platters, snacks, and cob loaf, and a fire that finally got going on the third match. While the boys are stoking the fire like they're starring in a survival doco, the kids are licking cheese off their fingers and the whole crew was just soaking up the vibe. Good food, warm hands, and no phone reception. Definitely 10 out of 10 would recommend. I sent the drone up for golden hour, and wow, this place is nestled in the Victorian high country where eucalyptus forests stretch forever and the bush changes colour as the sun goes down. From up here, you can see why Ned Kelly knew it was perfect for hiding out. Dense trees, deep gullies, and views that go on for days. It's wild, rugged, and absolutely beautiful. So before we wrap it up, here's what you need to know if you're thinking of camping here. It's free, there's no bookings required, there are drop toilets, but definitely bring your own toilet paper. There are fire pits with swinging barbecue plates so you can cook your snags or your bacon and eggs or reheat last night's dinner right over the coals. There's picnic tables that are scattered around. There's no drinking water on site, so please come prepared. And there is no phone reception, which is a blessing or a curse, depending who you ask. So here's our crew: Luke, Shawnee and Toby, Dimity and Sully, Sabrina, Scott and Yennefer, myself, Ben and the kids, and Kirsten and Justin. What a vibe. Honestly, such a great camp crew. Honestly, this has to be one of the most beautiful and historically rich campsites that I have ever personally stayed at. Whether you're here for the bushwalking, the ghost stories, the sunset drone shots, or just to say you stood where the Kelly gang made history, Stringybark Creek delivers. And just look at this view. From up here, you get a true sense of the high country. Raw, rugged, and breathtaking. The trees stretch for miles, the hills roll on endlessly, and it's really just quite magic. Like the past is still watching. And getting here, you don't actually need a four-wheel drive. It is an absolutely stunning drive. You wind through country roads, tall gum trees on either side, patches of farmland, and then suddenly you're deep in the bush, right where it all happened. The road in alone feels like a history lesson with a view. We came here for only one night, but it leaves an impression that'll stick around a lot longer. And now, if I didn't now pass it over to Ben, would it even be one of our YouTube videos? So, of course he is, standing outside the car like a budget air traffic controller, one arm out, squinting into the distance, waiting to guide the drone in like he's landing a 747 at Tullamarine. But just in his work boots. You've never seen a man so committed to catching a flying object without actually moving his feet. This is peak dad energy. Half Top Gun, half servo, forecourt manager, fully convinced he's got it under control. And somehow it works. The drone lands, the mission's a success, and not a single tree was harmed in the making of this footage. Wrap it up, champ, you're hired for ground crew. So thanks for coming along with us, and if you're into Aussie history, bushranger legends, or just chasing the next campfire story, make sure to hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe for the next adventure. We'll see you out on the tracks.